Ipswich away, 1982. What could go wrong? Hello and welcome back to my channel over and over and over again, which features everything to do with Arsenal. Now this video is just going to be the first in a new series I'm going to be doing of sort of a look back on some of the more memorable away days that I experienced following Arsenal, mainly focusing on the 1980s. Now any fans of a certain age will know that going to football in the 1980s was a completely different experience to how it is now. So maybe for some of the newer fans who maybe didn't experience that as well, I thought I'd maybe go over a few of the days out that I can remember, and just to give you an idea of how different things were really back then. My memory can be a little bit sketchy on certain things, but I'll try my best to remember things as well as I can. Now Ipswich was the first away game I went to outside London. It was in the 1982-83 season. I'd been to a couple of London derbies away the previous year, but this was the first season when I really started going to away games on a more regular basis up and down the country. Now the reason why I sort of chose Ipswich as the first one is because at the time I was living in Romford and it was a fairly straightforward train journey, and also as well Ipswich seemed like quite a quiet, easy going place. I didn't think there'd be any problems going to Ipswich. Now I was 14 years old at that time. So I've been going to Arsenal for about 2 years, but so this was the first season I was really getting into the away games. I don't think my mum was too aware of exactly what going to away games was like, and what going to football was like in general. I don't think she'd have let me go, certainly on my own, which I used to go to home games on my own quite a lot. But I've recently been going to games with a mate from school who'd got into going to football as well. He wasn't really a big Arsenal fan at that particular time. He soon became one on the back of the days out that we had. So this was, say, the first real away game that I'd been to outside London. So we got the train from Romford, so it's quite a straightforward train journey. Now we were very naive, as you can imagine, at 14 years old. We didn't really know what was going on. We didn't understand any of it really. So we got off the train at Ipswich. We got there really early actually, just because we didn't know where we were going or anything like that. So it was about 12 o'clock I think it was when we got off the train. So there was no Arsenal fans around. There was very few people around anyway, just your normal kind of Saturday afternoon shoppers and stuff like that. We were wandering about really, didn't know where the ground was. Don't forget, in them days of course you didn't have Google Maps on your phone or anything, didn't even have a mobile phone. So we were sort of wandering around a little bit around the station for a while, didn't really know where we were. We went and got something to eat, and then we thought, well, we need to start finding the ground. So we're walking around, and then suddenly these two young kids came up to us. They must have been about 10 years old, little lads, and they sort of said to us, "Hey, you looking for the football ground?" So we're like, yeah. He goes, "Oh, that's that. We're going. You can follow us, and we'll show you the way." So we thought, "Oh, okay, that's handy." Not thinking anything of it. So we followed these two lads for a while. They were having a little chat to us just about, some stuff. Obviously, that we mentioned that we were Arsenal fans and this, that, and the other. After a little while, I kind of got the feeling that we were maybe walking around in circles a little bit, going up and down similar streets, and I started to think, what's happening? We don't seem to be getting anywhere near the ground. So sort of saying to me, "Are you sure you know where you're going?" And they're like, yeah, that's fine, just keep following us, we'll take you to the ground. So anyway, after a little while, we come to the bottom of this road, and the two lads in front of us, they sort of turned right, and when we got there we saw it was like I don't know if it's like the main high street maybe, but there were like shops on each side of the road and stuff like that. And we're thinking the ground can't be here. So once we turned the corner, they started walking a bit faster in front of us, pulling away. Seemed a little bit strange, but they kept looking over their shoulder and sort of waving us on to say, come on. Suddenly, me and my mate are thinking to ourselves, something didn't seem quite right. It didn't seem that we were actually being taken to the ground. And then before we knew what had happened, these two lads had ran into a pub just up the road. That we saw them run into this pub, and suddenly we're thinking to ourselves, this isn't looking good at all. So we sort of decided that it wasn't a good idea to maybe hang around there. And sure enough, you know, seconds later, about 10-15 guys come running out of this pub. Obviously these two kids had gone in there, told them there were some Arsenal fans around, but we didn't hang around to wait and find out what was going to happen. We basically ran up this side street to try to get away as quick as we could, which seemed to be the best option. Anyway, we got to the bottom of this road, and luckily enough we did run into a bunch of Arsenal fans that had just got off the train, and we kind of tagged along with them and ended up getting to the ground safely. But that maybe was a little bit of a lesson for us very early on, and it was quite a shock actually, because I say we assumed that Ipswich would be quite safe. Now, as it turned out, Ipswich turned out to be one of the sort of worst games for sort of trouble and stuff in the 1980s, as it turned out. I don't know why. I don't know if there was any history between Arsenal and Ipswich. I've never really found out why. But the following season, we went back. You know, we were a little bit older, a little bit more wise. We'd been to a few more games, but on this particular occasion, I don't know why he had, but my mate brought along his younger brother. Now, we were about 16, I think, by this point, 15, 16. He was, I think, 12. He'd never been to football before. He'd never been to any game before. So he was basically tagging along with us on this particular day. Now, so we maybe understood the way it worked a bit more now. So we got on the train with a load of Arsenal fans and all this kind of stuff. So you know, we got off the train in Ipswich, and we were walking along the street, and suddenly there must have been about 50 of us, I think, around about that kind of number coming off the train, and we suddenly got ambushed by a bunch of Ipswich fans. They were throwing bottles at us, throwing rocks at us, all kinds of stuff. We were sort of behind the back of the main shops, so we all kind of ran into this sort of car park area behind one of the shops. I think it might have been Marks and Spencer's, I can't remember now. And we were basically hiding behind a wheelie bin, trying to avoid the things that were being thrown at us, and occasionally, you know, we'd maybe grab a bottle or something that had been thrown at us and throw it back in the direction it had come from. Anyway, my friend's little brother was obviously getting quite scared. It was quite a scary moment, to be fair. You know, you're stuck in this car park hiding behind a wheelie bin to stop you getting hit by all kinds of stuff. And then while all this was going on, he suddenly stood up from behind a wheelie bin and shouted at the top of his voice to his brother, "If you don't take me home now, I'm going to tell Dad." And everybody, for a split second in time, stopped. All the bottles stopped flying, all the rocks stopped flying, and everybody was just creasing up laughing. And it was just such a surreal moment. And then obviously seconds later, bottles will come flying back over again. It was just such a funny moment, really, and really hilarious. And then all the way home, all the way the rest of the day, and all the way home on the train, his little brother kept saying, "Oh, I'm going to tell Dad what you've been doing," and this, that, and the other. I don't think he actually did in the end, and it certainly didn't stop us being allowed to go to football again. Although his brother didn't come with us again, surprisingly enough. But yeah, so that was sort of a couple of little incidents at Ipswich, really, I say, which surprised me. I don't know whether or not you remember anything about Ipswich away in the 1980s. If there's any particular reason why there seemed to be a lot of trouble between Arsenal and Ipswich in them days. I don't even know why to this day, but every single time we went, you know, we probably went 5 or 6 times in that period, and there always seemed to be trouble. I'd say Ipswich fans didn't seem to like us particularly. I don't know why, what we'd ever done to them, but anyway. So yeah, if you can remember any of those sort of incidents at Ipswich, please, you know, put your stuff in the comments. Anything else really that you'd like to add to it all? If there's any other away games maybe that you can remember from the 80s where some strange incidents happened, could be quite nice to bring back a few memories for people. So that's it for this particular video. If you like the content on this channel, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. It is a new channel. I am trying to grow it. I'm just trying to add a few different things in. You know, I'm trying to steer away from what everyone else is doing in terms of transfers. Obviously, yes, if we sign a player, I'm going to have to do a video about it and stuff like that, but I'm going to try to steer away from that as much as I can and try to focus on a few other different things to give you a bit of different content. Hopefully you enjoy it. It might bring back a few memories. You know, if you're a fan of a certain age, I say if you're a bit younger, and you just might give you a bit of an idea of what maybe going to football used to be like for us lot back in the day. The fun and games that we used to have. So I say please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments as well of say anything that you might any memories that you might have of these sort of games from those from that era. And I say look out for some more content coming soon. Hopefully some transfers as well, which are coming in hopefully this week. Let's hope so. And of course a particular player's contract which still doesn't seem to have been resolved yet, does it? But let's hope that that's on its way soon. But anyway, in the meantime, as always, come on you guys.